Roy is a data scientist with Chata AI.
Collective intelligence is very, very important in this current state of AI, and it's a really good time to be in the field. This is a map of all the different kinds of technologies, algorithms that's out there. More data, more computing power, larger models, GPT, GPT-3. So my first axiom is that most people already understand AI. That's my axiom two. Neural networks are not a model of the human brain. AI and humans are not fighting. AI is not going to kill humans. A lot of fights between PyTorch patrons and TensorFlow patrons.
In relation to the YYC DataCon, which was held on March 12th and 13th. And we're just going to do a review of a few of those talks, take some personal interest in the talks that we were interested in, and then look and have a discussion about each of those talks and what we found interesting about them. We'll first start off with Mariangel, who's going to talk about what they don't tell you about AI.
So I watched the What They Don't Tell You About AI talk by Suryatapa Roy. And for some background info, she's a researcher in AI and virtual reality. She's also a data scientist at Chata AI. She completed her master thesis from University of Calgary with a specialization in interactive machine learning. So before Roy shared her six things that they don't tell you about AI, she goes over all the basics, start to get you thinking like a data scientist. Starting with a bit of history about Alan Turing, who came up with the theories that sparked interest of mathematicians to start the research into machine learning until it became what we know today. She then continued to explain the common terms used by data scientists such as bias, joint probability, and standard deviation. Then Roy goes on to explain her six axioms, or the statements based on her experience. One of those axioms was that we know more than we think about AI. We already have an understanding of AI since models were created to predict behaviors that are seen in nature or in our real world. As humans, we are able to do pattern recognition and interpretation. We can understand the math and physics and so on. Since we have an understanding of most fundamental operations used by data scientists, which we do intuitively, then all of these concepts and theories, Roy found that it was easier to understand data science after this. And another axiom that Roy brought up is that technology is not out to get us, as it's often thought that AI is going to take over the world, like in sci-fi movies. But Roy believes that even if AI is given all the data and the power that it needs, it's not going to understand everything the same way that humans do. And then we have control of the models, and their main purpose is to solve real-world problems. So AI taking over the world is just out of the picture. However, with recent improvements, has led to explainable AI, where different models are set up to provide insights to researchers and scientists on the thought process of how the models make predictions, how tasks are being understood, and so on. Based on the information that Roy presented in her talk, I would say that I definitely got a very good understanding of what it's like to be a data scientist, and I'm definitely interested to find out more about it. Roy did mention in her talk that right now is the best time to get into data science because of all the research available, all the support from forums and people collaborating and sharing knowledge with each other.
So what was it about the talk that you found was the most important takeaway? What was the thing you learned the most?
Because data science is so intuitive, and because at least with my background knowledge, I already have kind of all the basic information needed to become a data scientist, then I think the biggest takeaway for me is to get into data science and just explore more into it. And even though that data science has, it's always constantly evolving, I think that actually makes it more interesting because the data is always getting updated. There's always new developments, like I mentioned, with explainable AI, which is helping researchers to understand how the models are actually making decisions.
What do you think, from her perspective, does the future of AI look like?
There's many applications for this. that can be used in the real world. It can be used for medicine. It can be used to help detect any faults, for example, in the oil and gas field, detecting safety issues or anything like that. So I think that overall AI and data science is really going to make our tasks more efficient and to help us understand our world even better than we do today.
Hello everyone, as a continuation of our YYC DataCon coverage, we're going to review another speaker's presentation with Isa. Today she's talking about Professor Matthew E. Taylor and his talk on centaurs and intelligent augmentation, human AI systems in 2021. Go ahead, Isa. Well, thank you, Isa. No, it was good. So, what was your biggest takeaway from this talk? Yeah, great. Louisa or Mariangel, do you want to follow question? No? No? Okay.
I got no questions.
So, um, based on the sort of this human AI integration, do you see any sort of downsides? He mentioned some disadvantages, but did you sort of come away with any other disadvantages or key disadvantages, I guess? Okay, so just have one more question. So you showed the kitty picture there with the labeling, so drawing the boxes around the cats. So what sort of systems would you consider to be, or did he mention, would be in place to prevent illegal labeling or incorrect labeling or somebody just trying to hack or mess with the system? What sort of pieces would be in place to not allow such activity? Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much, Isa. Okay.